Ed at this point just means dad chases him around, but we do call it wrestling, and he's 1 year old. He turned a year a week ago, and on his first birthday, we started doing push-ups every night, which also he hasn't participated in, but I drop down and I do push-ups in front of him, which I think over time he will start mimicking. We'll see.
Nice. So you have Khalid Starnes, right, as a kid?
That's right.
Did he run away? Yes. You have Khalid. That's great. By the way, I actually, different topic, I heard what you said about Brock Lesnar, and I could not agree more. I don't see how this fight goes any different than Brock Lesnar shooting a double, Mark Hunt shooting an uppercut, and then the fight being over, right? It's
as simple as that. Yeah, I mean, if you're a betting man, if you're a handicapper, yeah, you want to put it all on Mark Hunt, but there's still an attraction there. You know, it's still Brock Lesnar is a once in a lifetime attraction, not just to MMA or to wrestling. I mean, to anything he does. Just being in his presence, you know, you feel this aura around him. So. But yeah, I mean that's what it is. You got a guy that left and he didn't leave on great terms, and I think it was like 5 years ago. I didn't realize that much time had gone by, but time goes so fast. I think he left 5 years ago. He's taken on a guy that was the number one contender in November of last year. I mean, yeah, you don't have to put on your Columbo rain jacket to figure this one out.
Now, when you say he wasn't that good of a wrestler in college, I mean, being a two-time national champion. He was a great wrestler. I mean, right? You don't become a two-time national champion without being a great wrestler.
Well, and you know, I am being a little critical of him. So just to correct you, he was a one-time national champion, but he was very dominant. Brock Lesnar had a very special career. As far as wrestling goes, or wrestling technique, or could he ever go on to be a wrestling coach? No, he doesn't know the sport of wrestling. He was able to hold good position, and he was huge. So let me say this, because he did have a really successful career. He was a national champ, like you said. But to put that in perspective for you, he had to cut weight to make heavyweight. Now, nobody had to do that when Brock was wrestling. Every 5 or 6, 10 years even, you'll have a heavyweight so big that he has to drop to the limit. Usually, if you're that big of a guy and you're a good athlete, you're off playing football. So He weighed 265 pounds. In the national finals, he wrestled a guy named Wes Hand from Iowa that was 220 pounds. So Brock, right out of the gate, had a 45-pound weight advantage. In wrestling, most weights are separated by closer to 8 to 10 pounds. In wrestling terms, and I didn't win the Nationals, but if you gave me a guy that I outweighed by 45 pounds, he wasn't going to make it 2 minutes with me. It wasn't a skill issue at that point. I would just go crush him, and he would never get up again. Brock went into double overtime with a guy that he outweighed by 45 pounds. And, you know, he was huge back then. It was all muscle. It was the right way. He was able to get in position, and he was also tough. Brock wouldn't give up anything. If it went into overtime, he could stay in there. He was a good competitor. But as far as a good wrestler, you know, where you're talking about some technical, no, he not at all. And I don't think he would pretend to be either. He's not going to make a technique video that kids are going to pay for online, put it that way.
So how would he have done, you think, against Steve Mocco, prime for prime?
Well, you know, there again, I almost have to double talk on what I'm saying. I'm kind of saying both things. I need to pick a side of the fence here. Skill-wise, no, Brock was a miss. Technique-wise, he was a miss. Mocco was a very elite wrestler for knowledge. However, Brock was big enough and strong enough and good enough competitor that Brock could have gone with him. Mocco would have beat him, but Brock could have given him problems. Even on a bad day, Brock's within 3 points of Mocco. He was just too big and too strong. Kevin Randleman was a 177-pounder. When he fought all the way up at heavyweight. He probably should have been 85, 205. You know, he was pretty juiced up. But as far as skill goes, definitely Randleman. Definitely. Randleman could wrestle, man. Randleman went on and was a wrestling coach. Right before he passed, he was out in Colorado Springs with Matt Lindland getting certifications. He was starting to coach the next crew of guys.
Do you think he was the best athlete in MMA?
Definitely for a time. Was he the best ever? I mean, I can't imagine anybody would be better than George as a pure athlete, but definitely for a time period. And top 3 overall, yes. As far as pure athleticism, explosiveness, timing, speed, yeah, he was a natural. Randleman was special, man. Randleman was very special. He was. Don't forget, Adam, when you tell the Kevin Randleman story, if you're being fair, and a lot of times once a guy passes, we're never fair, right? You only want to say good things. But if you're being fair, Randleman wasn't the guy that sacrificed and worked hard. And like, I would challenge you right now as an MMA historian. Tell me who his coach was. Tell me who his team
Mark
was.
Coleman.
Yeah, exactly. Mark. Well, tell me who else Mark Coleman has coached. Mark Coleman's not an MMA coach. Is my point. He was a guy that Randleman looked up to and trained under and just cited as his coach. They had a gym called Hammer House, but the reality is that was just a group of guys working out in the Ohio State wrestling room. That wasn't an organized, structured thing. I mean this as a compliment. What I'm saying is, you took a guy that didn't have great coaching, great teammates, a great structured gym, and he took it all the way to a world championship because he was that good of a competitor and that good of an athlete.
Yeah, no, right. No, he was one of my favorite. I do wonder, like Bill Baroni was saying, you take a Kevin Randleman right now and you put him in a Jackson's MMA, and you get a guy who's unbeatable.
Yeah, no, exactly. Yeah, if he had a great Jackson and technique behind him and strategies like that guru has, yeah, it'd be scary.
Yeah, it'd totally be scary.
Who's your?
What was that?
No, go ahead.